Okay, versatile vigilante, man. You know what it is. Uncle Vinny back here. Got my World Series Championship Blue Jays shirt. Hopefully that brings some good luck for this squad this year. They're looking good. You never know, man. Let's get it. 2021 little World Series. Bring that back to the city, man. Some good news for the city. I hope so. Let's get it. Blue Jays 2021. Good to be back, man. Just another solo thing. Continue along kind of the themes that we've been doing past little while. So I want to jump right into it, man. So recently, a couple things have happened where it's interesting how life works, man. And what I'm talking about is basically, man, I was watching an interview with or a podcast with Joey Diaz, who I've talked about quite a bit on this show, and he was talking about how, and for anyone who doesn't know Joey Diaz, if you do know him, you for sure know this, but if you don't know much about him, pretty wild guy, kind of. He's his own man, that's for sure. He's a character. He says what he wants to say, but he's also a huge fucking like weed smoker, man. He on his old podcast that he would do edibles, call them stars of death, just get super fried every episode, always talking about how much weed he smoked and stuff like that. And recently I was watching his show, and he's kind of been taking a completely different tone. He's like, man, I'm kind of want to walk away from what I was doing with the weed and shit like that a little bit. He's kind of talking about how, I don't know, something kind of changed with him where he's just like, let me cut back a bit. And he phrased it as like, I don't want to be like a pothead anymore. I just want to smoke weed here and there. And I'm like, okay, interesting to see. I'm a smoker and I go through that shit sometimes too. So it was really interesting to see what someone who took smoking weed to that most extreme level, like he smoked a crazy amount, got really, really faded. But he just kind of over time, I guess, realized, listen, I might be going through a different stage right now. I might want to leave this alone a little bit. And then I also remember watching this podcast. I forget who it was with, but it was a Nipsey Hussle interview. And he was talking about smoking. And he's like, man, there's times when I love to smoke, and I'll go times when I'm smoking all the time. I think it definitely helps me in certain times. But at this specific time, I want to leave it alone. I want to kind of be clear and handle business and shit like that. And it was just super interesting for me to see that, because I'm kind of going through that right now with weed a little bit. Like, you know what? I've been using that quite a bit. Let me put that to the side, just something different type of thing. Like, it became something where it's like, let me leave it alone a little bit. I can't give you a reason why. It's just like a feeling I had. And it got me to thinking, man. Sometimes you just change chapters, bro. Sometimes you just turn pages in your life where you're like, I was doing this, and now one day I'm like, I don't really want to do this anymore. And it's really interesting, because there's been times in my life where if you asked me, will you continue to do this? I would have said, absolutely. And then maybe a couple months down the road, I said no. Like, I used to play baseball as a kid, and for a time it was the biggest thing for me. Like, I loved playing baseball, being with my friends and shit. And then one day, I don't know, I was like 14, 15. I'm like, yo, I just really don't want to do this anymore. Like, it's just not the same. And yo, at that age, I didn't really understand what it is. But as of now, I realize, bro, sometimes you just have to switch shit up. Sometimes things can get kind of stale for you, where you're like, I'm doing this and it's helped me. It's been good for me in the past, but right now it's a little bit stale. And I think weed was kind of like that for me, and don't get me wrong, I was still getting fucking faded, but it was like, I don't know if it's really doing anything for me right now. And if you talk to me in a few months, I don't know, maybe I'll be right back in there. Who knows? And if you asked me 6 months ago, would I go through this? I'd say probably not. So it's just interesting how life works, man. Sometimes you make a change and you don't really realize it's coming, but you turn that chapter and it could open up your eyes a little bit. I recently went out to the West Coast, BC, and that was super interesting because I'd never been to that part of Canada really before, and just to see how different it was. See, it's the same country that we live in, but different vibe out there, all that. I realized, man, there's so much out there. There's so much different shit to experience. And being cooped up in lockdown for a year and whatever it was, I think you kind of forget that. I did sometimes. Like, it's hard not to, especially in the winter when you're just cooped up in the house. But you kind of forget how much is out there. And I think I realized when I was out there, like, man, I don't really need too many routines all the time. Like, I feel like it's a good thing to see some new shit, for me at least, to physically see new things, see a different beach, see different neighborhoods, see different people, to realize like, yo, I don't need to be set in my ways. You know what I mean? I feel like a culture that we live in, it's very much go, go, go. Like, oh, do this, 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 and this. And I probably talked about it on the podcast before, but whatever. I'm going to talk about it again. I feel like our culture, and I'm talking Western culture, and even just, let's break it down just to Toronto. Go, go, go. Bust your ass, bust your ass, bust your ass. If you're going to do something, fucking do it to your, like, do it till the wheels fall off. And I really don't agree with that mentality, man. Maybe it's a controversial take, but I don't agree with that mentality where, you just speed, go as hard as you can at something. If you do something, you better do it at best as you can. Yo, I use an example like karate. What if you just want to fuck around with karate, man, and see if you want to practice some different shit with it and try some new holds, do some training? Just because you're doing it, does it mean you have to compete for a black belt? I don't think so, bro. So I don't know why that mentality is really around. I don't believe in it. Go hard no matter what and fucking don't ask questions. I don't agree with that. There's times to do that, absolutely. Sometimes you definitely have to put it into fucking fifth gear and really go. And if you want to get shit done, you got to get shit done. But I don't think you can survive doing that all the time, bro. And going out west, I kind of saw that, there's a time to chill, time to lay back, enjoy what's out there, enjoy some fucking nature, enjoy the beach, enjoy that weather, as opposed to just bust your ass all day. And I talk to people about this too, and it's tricky because there's, you got the ambition for yourself. You want to do these things. You want to live a great life. For sure, I do too. And that includes material shit, like having a nice crib and all that, all that's very nice. But bro, life, a lot of this shit is when you're not busting your ass. I feel like sometimes you go so hard that you miss a lot of shit that's cool, and I don't know. I feel like that was one of the things that I related to with what Joey Diaz was saying with the weed stuff. Like, yo, you just get so caught up in your routine, like smoke and chill, and then you fucking forget, like, yo, there's other things to do. There's other things that I can do to maybe take my mind off things, relax a little bit. It's interesting, man, how interests can change when you put yourself in different environments. You see what else is out there. You see, oh, maybe this is something I want to do, or maybe it's not something I want to do, and I feel like you don't need to go 100 miles an hour at everything. I feel like if you want to test something out and take it at your own pace, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like when people pressure you to oh, if you're not doing it this way, why would you even do it? If you're not, go big or go home. Bro, there's a time and a place for that, but I feel like that's fucking overrated. And that's how you turn into a crash test dummy, man. You go so hard, so fast, you fucking hit that wall. Meanwhile, if you take it at your own pace, I think you might be able to see a lot more shit. An example, and learn a lot more about yourself. An example I'm going to show in my personal life, man. There was a time when, especially when I was still in like university and shit, even a couple years ago, summertime would stress me the fuck out. Summertime in Toronto is short, man. We only have a couple months, so weather's only good for a little while. So I'd get caught up where it's like, oh, fuck, every day I got to do this. Like, I want to party and all this, like go out here, go out there. And then I'd stress myself out. I'm like, how am I going to make it to all these places in 2 months, man? How am I going to do all this shit? Plus, I got to work and do all that. And it would stress me out, bro. And then just kind of honestly last year-ish, this year, I started to realize, like, bro, slow it down a little bit. The more you kind of, I don't want to say chill out, but chill out, the more you end up getting done, man. You appreciate the shit that you do. I started to appreciate the things I have been doing. And if I don't get to something, it is what it is, where you can't do everything, but start to enjoy the shit that I was doing a little bit more. And again, going out west, showing that kind of slower pace, a little bit more of that laid back lifestyle. It's like, okay, don't always have to be go, 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 man. And that's just me. That's just how I am. I realize that about myself. Like when I'm speeding, I don't feel like I'm at my best I feel like things get cluttered, shit can get, man, so much shit to do and what the fuck. And meanwhile, I take a kind of deep breath about things and slow it down, do it at your own pace. You end up getting more done, man. I feel that way, at least. I feel the slow and steady shit tends to work, man. When you think of your schedule, you look at all these things you have to do, you're like, holy fuck, like, how am I going to get this done? Meanwhile, if you slow it down, kind of do what you can piece by piece, before you know it, you're winning, So that's kind of what I meant about turning chapters. I feel like change is seen as like a scary thing, and it is, but bro, change doesn't have to be a bummy thing. Like we go online, oh, this person's not in my, you see these people, this person's not in my life anymore. Oh, I can't do this anymore. Things are different, and it's like a sad tone. Fuck that, bro. It's a good thing sometimes. When new shit comes up, old shit ends. Who knows, man? That could be a huge time for you to grow, try some better shit, cooler shit. Just because we were doing things before doesn't mean that's the way we have to continue to do it, You don't have to be set in your ways, man. I feel that myself, where it's like, oh, just because I was doing this, or just because I'm doing this now, I got to do this forever? Fuck that. Fuck that, bro. Like, I see a lot of things on IG where it's like, oh, I miss this person, this and that. And I'm like, you know what? That's real. Like, that's emotional. Sometimes you do miss people. You do miss how things used to be. But fuck that shit. It's time to go. It's time to do some new shit, build some new waves, fucking do some better shit. Leave that old shit in the past, man. And sometimes leaving things in the past are things that you like, and sometimes leaving things in the past might not be permanent either. Like going back to the weed example, I'm gonna slow down on that for now. Probably will come back at some point, but right now let me do some different shit. And that's kind of what I wanted to say, bro. Like, it's not a bad thing when you have to turn a new page in your life. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It could be kind of scary because you don't exactly know what you're getting into, but that's also a huge possibility for some growth, for potential. Try new things, put yourself in different situations, see how you react to them. Maybe you develop into something you didn't even think you could be, So turning a new chapter on shit and going through a new phase in your life, bro, it's a huge challenge, but it's a great opportunity. It's a great way to grow. Try new shit out, man. I hate the feeling of stale. Like, I just hate stale, bro. Like, oh, let me just be with this person because they're safe. Let me just go to this place because it's safe. Bro, that shit stunts growth, and I feel like it gets boring. And that's my opinion. That's, in my experience, that's what I've seen. So that's really what I feel, bro. I feel like it doesn't have to be taken to the extreme, It doesn't have to be, oh, this is what I do, and I'm fucking doing it as hard as I can. Sometimes you want to change shit up. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you want to try some shit out. There's nothing wrong with that, man. So that's really how I feel about it. That was what I wanted to talk about today. I don't know. It was just, that's the topic that I've been thinking about lately. Like, yo, why is starting some new shit have to be like a bummy thing or a sad thing? Like, let's turn that chapter. It doesn't have to be why. It doesn't even have to be fucking scary. Fuck it. It's just some new shit. Let's do it. Let's get it. Let's try it. Let's do it. And is that simplifying it? Probably. But why overthink it too? Is that a simple way of looking at it? I guess so. But why do we have to look at it from such a complex angle? Fuck it, bro. Not everything's that complicated. Sometimes you just pull back a little bit, take a look, and you see it's not that crazy. It's not that wild. Plus, there's some really cool things that you could get from it. So that's it, bro. Turning chapters on this bitch. Fucking outside always, even though we're inside technically, but you know what I mean. Got some crazy videos coming out. Don't know when, but they're pretty much done. Just got to figure out a way to put that out. Got some fucking apparel and shit like that to do. Always moving, always doing something. We're going to get some guests in here. Audio is going to be fixed up. Do some new video shit. All I can tell you, bro, is continue to do shit. That's all I know. Don't be scared of this shit. It's important to switch shit up in your life. Don't get married to anything that you don't want to, bro, in terms of yourself. I don't know. I don't know if that fucking made sense, but that's what I wanted to say. That's what I've been feeling. If you don't agree, shout out to you. It's a free country, and if you do agree, shout out to you. You know, so gang shit. We're outside. Versatile vigilante. It's a lifestyle. Free Big Avel as always. Go Blue Jays. Let's get it.